Okay, guys, we're going to pick up our Westward to Home journey. We are starting on May 31st. Buster disappeared, so I walked back looking for him. I walked and I looked and I walked and walked. Suddenly it was too quiet. I looked around. I couldn't hear the wagons. I couldn't see the dust. I stood still, my heart thumping hard. Was I lost? And then there was Buster. He was sitting on a small rise, making pitiful little sounds. And oh, his paws were split and bloody. I snatched him up and hugged him, and he licked my face. I climbed the little rise and stood on tiptoe looking around. Nothing, no dust, nothing but grasses as tall as my head, and silence. I was lost, lost. I looked at the sky. The sun was low. What should I do? I was already so thirsty, but which way to go? My heart was thundering. West. We'd been heading west. I took a deep breath. I held Buster close and headed into the setting sun and prayed. I walked for a long, long time. The sun set and it turned back black. It was so black I couldn't see my own feet and kept stumbling. How long had I been gone? Did anyone even know I was missing? I don't think I've ever been so scared. Buster got heavy, but I couldn't put him down because he might run off into the dark. Please, God, please, I prayed. Let them find me. Let them find me. But what if they never found me? I could die of thirst in just one day. I knew that, and the buzzards would come, and wolves. No, don't think like that, I told myself. Don't think. And then, just as the stars winked overhead, I heard it. Hoof beats. Here, I yelled. I'm here. The hoof beats came closer. But what if it was Indians? I didn't care. I'm here, I yelled again. And Grandpa came thundering up on Daisy. June 2nd. Today I walked alongside my friends again. I promised Ma I wouldn't leave them, not even for a second. We crossed a wide, sandy place. Ahead of us we could see mountains looming. The wind blew something fierce, and I used axle grease to soothe my lips. But they're so dry they bleed. I covered my head with my shirt, but then the sun beat on my shoulders. It seemed there was no way out of the sun and heat, except when it rains. And then there's no way out of the rain. Adam was quiet today, so I asked what he was thinking. He said he was praying. I wondered if he prayed for me the day I was lost. I wish I was good like him. All I do is complain. Ash Hollow. All of our spirits are raised again. The scouts rode ahead and found this fine spot. A breeze blows and there's a fresh stream. The mountains are all about and above us is Chimney Rock. It's split at the top as though by a lightning bolt. I took Becky to show her. She tilted her little head back and looked up, smiling. I realized something then. At home, Becky used to cough, especially at night. Now she rarely coughs, even with all the dust. Around us, were winking, and the mountain was turning pale. Turning purple. I whispered to God a little thank you prayer. Suddenly I saw something. It wasn't just me and Becky there. Bobby was there too. She smiled at me. I sort of smiled back. I wanted to say something, but couldn't think what. I wish now I had said something clever. Fort Laramie, June 10th. This fort is not at all like Fort Kearny. This one has tall walls and a big courtyard, and Indians everywhere. Some were even sleeping on top of the walls. Our men and women went poking around inside the fort. We children were told to stay outside, but Charlie and Bobby and I sneaked in. We found rooms like bedrooms. There were buffalo skins spread on the floors for beds. There were decorations on the walls. And in one room there was a scalp hanging from the wall. Sometimes Indians kill people and keep their scalps as trophies. This scalp had hair on it about 3 feet long. Charlie dared Bobby and me to touch it. I touched the hair. Bobby touched the scalp part. We all acted like we weren't afraid, but I think we were. I keep thinking about whose head it was. June 11th. The temperature in on our thermostat today said 110 degrees. June 12th. Rachel and Becky climb in my lap for stories at night. Becky keeps talking about buffalo. She says it like this, buffo. She even calls Lori, our cow with the twisted horn, a buffo. Tonight, Rachel gave me a wildflower. Very seriously, she said, I like you. June 13th. Folks are suddenly very ill. Ma scurries from wagon to wagon with medicines, but two of our party died today, and we passed 6 graves from the earlier wagon train. Folks get sick in the morning and are dead by sundown. We can't stop to nurse them. We barely stop long enough to bury them. Ma's afraid it's an outbreak of cholera. June 14th. So many more folks are ill. Farther back on in our train, there's a family of 6. Both the ma and pa died today. That leaves 4 orphans. Folks offered to take 1 or 2 children, but the eldest girl is 12. She won't part with any of the little ones. She says she'll be their mother now. Imagine. June 15th. 2 babies died last night. One was the tiny Gibbons baby, baby March. The other was the new whole baby, little Kearney. Pa and Grandpa dug their graves this morning. We buried both babies together. At first, Mrs. Gibbons wouldn't give up her baby. Pa had to take it from her arms. I saw Pa wipe his face in his handkerchief. I wonder if he was crying. June 17th. The bugle woke us before the sun was up. It was Cousin Daniel shouting orders. The river's rising and we must cross it. We scrambled things together. Becky sat in the wagon with Ma. Aunt Lizzie and Rachel sat on theirs. Pa took the reins of the oxen on one side and I was on the other. Men on horseback swam into the river to guide the wagons. My heart was thundering. Within minutes the oxen were swimming, but they began swimming downstream. Pa yelled, Cousin Daniel yelled. Men began shooting off their rifles. I saw Bobby pick up a rifle and begin shooting. I didn't know what to do. Suddenly Grandpa was in the water beside me on his horse. He yelled at me to guide Daisy. Then, with just one arm, he grabbed the reins of the oxen. In just a minute or two the oxen turned and swam across. I felt ashamed. Was it my fault the oxen swam down river? Wasn't I strong enough? Did they feel how scared I was? Later, Pa says it wasn't my fault. Oxen have a mind of their own, he said. At least our wagon stayed upright. 2 others overturned. One of the overturned wagons belonged to the Douglas sisters. All their things got dumped out. A gown got all swollen up in the water and floated away. Bobby stood beside me. Look, she whispered, pointing with her rifle. It looks like a dead lady. The floating lady was followed by barrels of flour and everything. Miss Emmeline's face got white as snow. Grandpa told her not to fret. We'll all help out. We will. But now they have nothing. Night. Tonight folks brought things to the Douglases' wagon. Aunt Lizzie brought a petticoat. Mrs. Druckers brought a bonnet. Ma brought a fry pan. She said she had 2 and one wouldn't be missed. Mr. Gibbons gave them a whole barrel of flour. He said maybe they'd bake some fine things for him. Mrs. Gibbons usually doesn't mind what folks say, that she doesn't know much about cooking. Tonight she didn't even smile. She grieved so for her March baby. Mrs. West is timid, much afraid of her husband. It seems more and more clear that he's a bully. She waited until he'd gone to bed the animals. Then she tiptoed over to the Douglas wagon. She handed Miss Emmeline a brand new apron. She whispered that it hadn't even been worn yet. She was saving it to wear in Oregon. It was nice to see everyone helping. June 18th. No one has died in 2 days. The sickness seems to have run its course, but Cousin Daniel says it will come back. I waited for Ma to tell him to shut up, but she just turned away. June 20th. Today when we were walking, Bobby and I played I Spy. Once Bobby said, I spy a wagon. We both burst out laughing. Only thing is, I see Me Too and Adam and Charlie smirking at me. I know they think Bobby is sweet on me. She's not. She's just my friend. Today, Bobby and I were walking together. The others fell behind. Sorry. June 21st. Today, Bobby and I were walking together. The others fell behind. Suddenly, I heard a sound. I looked around. Charlie and Adam and Me Too had crept up on us. Adam and Charlie were grinning at me from behind their hands, and Me Too was making kissy sounds right out loud. I hate that. I hate them. I scooped up a handful of dung and threw it at them, but they ducked away. Bobby just shrugged, but then she went off to her wagon. I went and rode with Grandpa a while. In camp, still no buffalo, but today we saw buffalo chips and footprints. Cousin Daniel warned there were buffalo. Where there were buffalo, there are Indians. Bobby said not to worry. The Indians will be friendly. Charlie asked how she knew that. He said it in a kind of mean voice. She said, "I just know the Pawnee and the Arapaho have been really friendly. The Lokoya seem friendly. Most Indians are friendly." And when she went to her wagon, Charlie said, "She's a big know-it-all." And that's where we're going to stop.